Hello, I'm back for another day. Sorry, my head got cut off in the other video, and what are you gonna do? But it's a shame. So I'll try to be more posturific in this video. So we're resuming the middle of 1981. And we're gonna finish 1981, just the second half, and get to, counting 1982 after that. Okay, so number one, we got a bunch of knights or like warriors or something walking away from a castle. Like they're marching off to a battle and such. And they're being followed by a dog. And one of the warriors is saying, "Hey Richard, your stupid dog's following us again." So like they're like the dog chased cars, I guess. There weren't cars back then, I think. The next one's another medieval thing. It's guys, they're another bunch of warriors, and they're in a castle, and the castle's under siege, and they're throwing water balloons over the edge, and I guess the leader is saying, "Hot oil, we need hot oil, forget the water balloons." So they haven't planned their defense very well. This one is cows eating out of a trough, and they're all chewing hay, but the one in the middle is chewing and blowing a bubble of bubble gum. This one is like two explorers in the jungle, and they've come across these giants, like really big tribes people, and we can only see up to like their upper thigh. That's how big they are, and we can only see their feet. And there's three of them standing in a clearing, and one of the scientists is saying to the other scientists, "With a little luck, they may revere us as gods, but they're so small that they probably won't, unless this culture like deifies smallness." This one is supposed to be Isaac Newton, but he's wearing like normal clothes, so that's kind of lazy. But he's sitting under an apple tree, and there's a giant apple above him, and there's two other guys there also sitting under trees, and they all got clipboards, and one of them is saying, "Nothing yet, how about you, Newton?" So like the giant apple's gonna fall on Newton, and he's gonna discover gravity, I suppose. The next one is three little men reading a full-size book of Little Women. So I guess they're interested in the Little Women, and that's why they're reading the book. Sorry. This one is cows getting out of a taxi in the background, and in the foreground is a woman looking out her like salon. I don't know what Americans call it. Like the living room. She's looking out the window and looking at the cows coming home. You can see where this is going. They're getting out of a taxi, and she's shouting to her off-panel husband, "Andrew, the cows have come home." This one is two giant warty frogs sitting on a lily pad, and I think they're looking at a female frog because she has eyelashes. It's not really clear, but one of the frogs is looking at this eyelashed frog and saying "Vive la différence." So I don't know. I think they think the frog is hot. I'm not really sure. Or it's like, I think it's like the frog doesn't look that different from them. It just has eyelashes, but they still think it's beautiful. I don't really know. I'm gonna move on. This one, I remember. This one's sad and scary. It's like it's an astronaut on the moon, and in the background you can see a rocket leaving. So like they left him on the moon, and he's reading a note, and it says, "Dear Henry, where were you? We waited and waited, but finally decided that," and then it ends. So they left him on the moon because he took too long. The next one is two kids standing on a dog, and there's a sign on the lawn that says "Stay off the dog," and a man is coming outside the house that is attached to the lawn and saying, "Hey, you kids, can't you read?" This one is another slideshow thing. It's a bunch of aliens looking at a picture of Earth projected onto a screen in their like sofa area. And they're saying, "Oh yeah, now that place was really a greasy spoon." So like Earth sucks, I guess, is the joke. And it does. We can all attest to that, I'm sure. This is the one I was talking about last time. It's one of my favorites. I remember it from last time I read this. But all it is it's two guys. It's an airplane, but we only see three people, and well, we see four people, I guess. And there's two guys sitting next to each other on the airplane, and we see that their captain is Goofy, like the dog Goofy, and he's getting on the plane, and he looks like he's waving to everyone, and he's got a briefcase that says Captain something, but it's not Goofy. I don't know, maybe it's not Goofy, but it looks like him. And one of the guys is just saying to the man sitting next to him, "God help us all." And that's all it is. This one, you know those like things, like the clown punching bags that like bounce back? It's like that. But this kid is running away crying from one, and his glasses are on the floor broken, and like the punching bag is just like staring smilingly into the camera. So like the punching bag hit the kid in the face, I think, and broke his glasses. The next one is a bunch of wolves at a party. And one of them is saying to one, "Listen, this party's a drag, but later on Floyd, Warren, and myself are going over to Farmer Brown's to slaughter some chickens." So they're planning some after party hijinks, because the wolf party isn't fun. It looks fine. This one is two dragons in a cave, and they've made like this really crude princess dummy that's just like a log with a rock on it and like a princess hat and fake hair. And they're saying it's no use, we're just gonna have to get ourselves a real damsel. So I guess they're trying to lure knights there to eat, but it's not working. I like this one. This one is, so it's a butcher shop, and there's just like this really big guy wearing a dark overcoat and a hat, and you can't see his face, and he's in the foreground. And then he's talking to the butcher, but they're keeping it kind of like, they're like whispering, because what is going on in this comic is the man in the dark overcoat is trying to buy the butcher's helper, who appears to be just a teenager or perhaps younger. And the butcher is saying, well, I never thought about it before, but I suppose I'd let the kid go for about $1.99 a pound. So he's gonna sell this kid by the pound to this overcoated man who I presume is gonna eat him. This one is a man, he's inspecting a broken piano stool on the ground, and we see that the piano is falling after it. So like, they threw the piano stool out first, and this guy's looking at it, but he doesn't know that the piano's coming next, so he's gonna get hit and crushed by a falling piano. This one's a dog in a doghouse, and all we can see is its front paws, but it's got a big pile of bikes, and there's like a news carrier bag, so like it's been killing and eating paper boys and taking their bikes. This one is an old woman, and she's cleaning underneath her couch cushions, and her husband, I think that's who it is there. Some male figure who she's been searching for is under there. And she's saying, Andrew, so that's where you've been. And good heavens, there's my old hairbrush too. So I guess Andrew has been down there for a while. In the couch. The next one is a bunch of snakes in a movie theater. And they're watching two snakes on screen who appear to be having some romantic troubles. And the female snake is saying, I'll come back to you, Sydney, but I won't crawl, because she's a snake. This one is a man, a shabbily dressed man, has just tipped over a garbage can and is running away from the house. And an anthropomorphic dog dressed in human clothes and glasses is coming out of the house to yell at the man. So it's role reversal again. This one is at like Inuits, but they're, I don't know, they look pretty white, but though their igloo is full of penguins, and the more, like, I guess the guy is leaving, and his wife is saying, remember, milk, eggs, loaf of bread, and pick up one of those no penguin strips. So they got a penguin problem in their igloo. I guess they live at the South Pole, or one of the many other places where penguins live, but I don't know if you can have an igloo in any of those. I don't even know if you can have an igloo at the South Pole. Is there enough snow for that there? Take issue with this comic, for a number of reasons. This one is like, you know, in Sideshow Bob gets hit by the rakes and he makes that sound. It's like that, but it's a caveman, and it's just a caveman stepping on a rake, and it hits him in the face, and it says the discovery of tools. This is another snake movie theater one. I guess that's a theme. It's a bunch of snakes, and they're in line to see The Mongoose Came at Midnight, so I guess it's like a horror movie for snakes, because mongooses kill snakes. This one is the ugly duckling looking into a pond and seeing a swan as his reflection and smiling, and that's it. It's nice that he finds himself beautiful. Doesn't have to rely on the validation of others, because it's hard, you know, to accept the way you look. This one I like. This one is a doctor, and he's meeting with a patient. They're sitting very close to each other, which seems uncomfortable, but I guess it's a restricted space from the cartoonist. But the man that he's like talking to is covered in he's got like cow heads growing out all over his body. Like there's just cow heads sprouting out of different parts of his body. And the doctor is saying, I'm afraid you've got cows, Mr. Farnsworth. This one is an old man. You know those things at the grocery store where you put a coin in and it goes. It's a really old man on one of those, and his female companion. And she's saying, "Oh, all right, Barnaby, one more quarter and then we'll go home." So apparently has a childish thrill derived from riding this mechanical horse. This one I like. This one is it's a guy down in a burrow underneath the ground, he's dug this hole to live in, and his wife is yelling into the hole. We can see him, but he's far below ground. His wife is saying, "Reuben, the Johnsons are here. You come up this instant or I'll get the hose." I sympathize with Reuben. The Johnsons look patient enough, though. This one is a woman in a room, and there's no furnishings, and she's sitting on the ground reading a book, and all of her furniture is coming through the door. This is another one where the furniture has faces, but these ones aren't mean. And they're saying, "Well, we're back, so I guess the furniture went on vacation, or it took a trip or something. I don't know." This is another digging under the ground one. It's got a Raising Arizona vibe. Or I guess multiple prison movies. It's just three guys digging out of prison, and we can see that they're about to dig up underneath the ocean, but they can't. And the leader is saying, "We're almost free, everyone. I just felt the first drop of rain." Sad. Maybe they'll be okay, but I doubt it. I don't know how they could be. This one is a giant penguin destroying a city. And the cops are there, but they're upset because it's a penguin. And the leader is saying, "Other cities get giant gorillas or dinosaurs, but what do we get?" So they don't give a shit that this penguin is destroying the city. They're just sort of concerned about their own egos, which is very accurate, I think, for the police. So I'm glad Gary has included this comic, because we all know, whatever, I don't have to say everything, but you know what I'm talking about. The police are not our friends. This one is a man on a desert island, and it's only got one palm tree, and the palm tree is falling on him. So it's just he's having a bad time, I guess. The next one is they're launching a rocket, but they're filling it up with water from a hose, like a garden hose, and they got the guy standing over by the water thing to turn it on, and they're saying, "Okay, Pete, start the pressure nice and easy." So he's got to turn on. And anybody who's ever worked with a hose will understand this comic, because you got someone over by the top to turn it on and off, and then you got someone by the bottom to do the real intricate work. But that's what's going on here, except it's made its way into rocket science. This one is just two women. They live in the medieval era, but they are dressed modern, in the modern style of, I suppose, 1962, and they've got purses, and they're saying, and the one behind, okay, so the one in front is Barbara, and she's holding this sword that she's just pulled out of a stone. So she pulled the sword out of the stone, which makes her queen of all of Britain. But her friend is saying, "Put it back in the rock, Barbara. You couldn't even slice a tomato with that old thing." I like this one. Very, very common man, common woman. Like, we don't need to attach that value to this weapon. They're only looking at it as for its use, which is how we should view things. We don't need to fetishize implements of war anymore. I guess that's a little hypocritical coming from me. But this one's just like a janitor, like a trash collector. He's got a poking stick in a bag, and he's walking off into the sunset from an old cowboy town, and they're saying, I never got his name, but he sure cleaned up this town. So like, he's the hero because he cleaned up the town because he's a garbage can. This is a cave comic, but they're not in a cave. It's just a bunch of, these ones are significantly less evolved because they're walking on all fours, but one of them is standing up and he's going, hey look, no hands. So like, he doesn't need his hands to walk. This one's a guy about to get his head cut off in a guillotine, and the guillotine has a sticker on it that says new and improved. And that's it. He's just looking at the sticker. He seems to have accepted his fate. Maybe he knows he deserves to die. This one is the Trojan horse. And this guy is trying to deliver it to this housewife, and she's saying, no, this is 2221 Chestnut Drive. You want the big place around the corner. So like, he accidentally delivered the Trojan horse to this woman instead of the Trojans. This one's a guy hunting frogs, and he's just caught one, and the frog is saying, skinny legs, I got skinny legs. So the frog doesn't want to be eaten for his legs. This one is Dr. Frankenstein, and he's building his monster, and his wife has appeared, and she's saying, dear, have you seen the beef brains I bought for supper tonight? So he put the beef brain into the monster. Or maybe it's unrelated and she just has lost them. This one's two bears in a cave, and one of the bears is saying, damn, I can't hibernate. So like, bear insomnia. This one is a fish bowl, and it's a mom fish. You can tell because she has glasses, I guess, and lipstick. And she's saying, that's not funny, Malcolm. There will be no more floating belly up on the surface. So this kid is pretending to be dead to freak out his mom. And she's scolding it for it. But there's absolutely nothing to do in that fishbowl. They're the only things in there besides some sand. So I can't imagine there's anything else to do. A hellish existence for Malcolm and his mother. This one is like, okay, so two aliens have crashed their flying saucer, and sorry, it's getting kind of hot. It's getting hot in here. This one, like I said, so it's aliens, and they've crashed, and there's like a group of people there to see the crash, and they're saying, I can't believe it, one lousy little bee gets inside and you just freak out. So they crashed because of a bee. Am I sweating? I feel really hot. Like, I just want to collapse on this page and just die. This one is two explorers in the jungle. One of them is saying, hey, what's this Drosophila melanogaster doing in my soup? So they refer to things by their scientific names. This one is two cows have tunneled out of the barn. This one is snakes looking at Play Snake, like the Playboy of the snake world, and like the centerfold is like hanging down because snakes are really long. We can't see what's on the page, but they seem to be enjoying it quite a bit. This one is another caveman. He has hammered a car out of rock. It doesn't have any wheels. It's just like a car. It's just like a rock that has been hammered into the shape of a car. And he looks like he's trying to figure out what to do next. This one is Superman, and he's circling a lighthouse like a moth. And, like he's attracted to the light from the lighthouse because he can fly. And the two guys inside the lighthouse are saying, "For God's sake, kill the lights, Murray. He's back again." So this is an ongoing issue with Superman. This is two bears who have just killed this guy in the woods, and now they're going through his wallet. And that's it. They look a little disappointed. This one's a kid for show and tell. He's brought a head in a jar, and his teacher is saying, "And next for show and tell, Bobby Henderson says he has something he found on the beach last summer." The next one is snakes again, and it's a snake family. The dad snake looks really tired, but the little snake is saying, "Oh brother, not hamsters again." The next one is a duck. A duck is kicking this woman down the stairs to her death, and there's another duck at the bottom of the stairs. And it says, "As the first duck kept Margaret's attention, the second one made its move." So these ducks have been planning to kill this woman named Margaret, and they're working in tandem to do so. And that's all. This one is a bunch of people, and they're walking, or they got like the carrot and the stick thing, like they got the sticks hanging attached to them, so they're all following carrots. But around the corner, it's like a city street, and around the corner we see a big like leg of some big animal, and there's a big guy coming. So like he's big is the joke, and he's coming around the corner, and he doesn't have a carrot on a stick. He has a big like meat hunk on a stick. This one, I'm trying to figure out what's going on in this comic. Okay, I think... Okay. So, there's this couple in bed. The woman is getting out of bed to go somewhere else. So, that is her alibi for the statement that her husband is making in the comic. Because her husband is still in bed, and he's saying, "Blasted, Agnes, if you're going to put your cold feet on me, you could at least dry them first." Which is gross, but like, she's not in bed, her feet are on the floor, and there's this weird lump at the end of the bed. So like, he's feeling something else and mistaking it for some cold, slimy thing in their bed, and he thinks it's her feet that she didn't dry, but it's something else. And that's it. We don't know what it is. We don't know where it came from. It's just a lump, and we know that it's cold and wet. This is more like Grim Reaper ghosts. And one of them saying there's a female Grim Reaper in the foreground and two males in the background, and they're saying, "Sure, I like her, but she doesn't even know I exist." So I guess they're just ghosts. And like, we don't know if ghosts exist, and that's the joke. This one's an anteater and ants. It's like an anteater approaching an anthill, and it looks really scary. And the ants are saying, "Alert, alert, it's the sucking death." The Sucking Death. This one is two dogs on a road trip. No, three dogs, because they got like a puppy in the back, and he's looking at the back, and he looks happy. And they have a bumper sticker that says, "Have you licked your kids today?" This one is a mosquito coming home from work to his wife, and he's hanging up his hat as he walks in the door, and he says, "What a day, I must have spread malaria across half the country." So he had a busy day being a mosquito. This one is cowboys and Indians. It's like the cowboys sent this one guy on a horse over to talk to this war party, and he's returning and he's dead. Like, he's full of arrows. The only reason he's coming back is because his horse is still alive, and they're saying, "Now stay calm, let's hear what they said to Bill." So like, they killed Bill, but these two haven't put it together yet, or at least one of them hasn't. This one is like scientists, and one of them is carrying a big tray of test tubes, and he's about to down the stairs, and there's a roller skate on the stairs, and he's about to step on the roller skate and slip down the stairs and like break all the test tubes, and one of the other scientists is saying, "And as you shall soon observe, we are quite proud of our test tube baby progress." So like, he's gonna ruin the progress of their experiment with the test tube babies because someone left an old roller skate on the stairs. Penguins on an iceberg. And they're wondering, on the other hand, what if we aren't alone in the universe? This one's a guy torturing a child, I suppose, torturing his fish by drinking all the water in the bowl and then saying, "So you still won't talk, eh?" So either he knows that the fish can't talk and he just wants to kill it, but like torture it first, or he just is an idiot and thinks the fish will talk if he tortures it. This is an upsetting one, and he looks really mean, and the fish is afraid. So I don't know about that one. This is an old, like, he has a hook hand and a peg leg and like a pea coat, so I assume he's like an old fisherman, and a cat is using his peg leg as a scratching post. This one's a stork delivering a stick figure baby to a stick figure family, and they look really happy. There's even a stick figure dog. This is a bunch of barbarian, like, Viking types, and they're having a feast. And they're passing a mayonnaise jar around, and none of them can open it, even though they're like giant, burly Vikings. And they're saying, the leader is saying, "I can't believe this. Can anyone here get the lid off this mayonnaise?" This one's two, like, people in, like, physical rehab. Like, they're covered in bandages, and like, this nurse is wheeling a guy around in the background. So I think they're just outside, but they're outside of the hospital. They're both in wheelchairs, and they're about to be hit by an asteroid. And one of them is saying, "You're kidding, I was struck twice by lightning too." So they have bad atmospheric luck, essentially. This one, so on the outside of the restaurant, it says all you can eat, $2 per person. God, what a time. And then this guy, this giant, he really just has a giant head, to be honest. But I guess the joke is like, he's big, he's gonna eat a lot. This one's three cowboys, on the trail with all their cows. And two of them are like really hard and they got like scars and big muscles and they look angry. And then one in the middle is kind of like skinny and sort of, he's got like glasses and stuff. And he's saying, anyone for a chorus of happy trails, and they look mad. So I guess there's not going to be much singing on this trail. This one is a man falling down well, he has fallen down the stairs of his lighthouse. But going around the lighthouse, it says wump, 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 like in a circle to like illustrate that he has fallen down the stairs. This one is two guys at a bar. One of them is huge, like he's hairy. He's got a nail in his nose. He's got an eye patch. He's got a vice on his head. Like tightened the tightened vice on his head, and he looks terrifying. And the man next to him is much smaller, but the man next to him is saying tough guy, huh? So like the man next to him is trying to start a fight with this giant monster suffering man, who I assume is just gonna kill him. And that's basically it. This one is a man and a woman, and they've gone into like a bunker underneath the ground, and we can see above the ground that there's mushroom clouds. Everything's on fire. There's literally nothing except fire and mushroom clouds. So the world is ending, and they're in a bunker, and the wife is in hysterics, and she's saying, Arnold, the bird, you gotta go up there and get the bird. So they forgot their bird. But the bird's dead. But it does look like Arnold's gonna go and get the bird, so I don't think they're gonna last long in the bunker. This one is like a bunch of it's the Egyptians are building the pyramids, and there's a bunch of workers pulling this big block. And there's a driver, and he's got a whip, and he's on top of the block, and he's got a megaphone, and he's saying, come on, let's go. Remember Pharaoh's favorite mottos. Many hands make like the work. A job worth doing is worth doing well. And death to the laggard. So, a harsh society is ancient Egypt. And that's really all. This one is like, so it's a flying saucer has landed and it's surrounded by soldiers, and they all got guns, and like they look like they're ready to shoot at it, and there's whatever is inside the flying saucer is holding up a hat on a stick in like a vain attempt to get these soldiers to fire at the hat, I suppose, and trick them. This one is so a lumberjack with a chainsaw has just cut down the tree, but the angels are coming down from heaven and lifting like the spirit of the tree, which now has angel wings but is still a tree, into heaven as the lumberjack looks on. So I guess trees go to heaven. This one is two guys on a boat. It's a reference to something, but I don't get it. It's, what do you make of it, Earl? A small pea-green boat drifting way out here, empty, except for those two little skeletons. So, like, whoever's in the boat, that's a pea, and they're small, but they're dead. I assume it's a reference. I don't know what else it could be. But I don't really understand. This one is two aliens in a flying saucer speeding away from Earth, but like there's like like they flew through a clothesline and it's still like hanging on to their flying saucer, and they're saying, I dare say there's a woman in Mayfield, Nebraska who believes in UFOs. So they just like drove through a woman's clothesline, and now I suppose she's gonna believe in UFOs. I don't know if they want that to happen or not. I don't really understand. This one is Dorothy the Tin Man and the Scarecrow, and they're on what I assume is the yellow brick road, but coming in the other direction is like a bunch of people running a marathon. But they really could just get out of the way and it would be fine. So I don't really see what the big deal is. This one is a siege tower, and there's one guy in it, and he's at the top, like he's ready to storm the walls, the battlements, but his comrades are saying retreat and running away. So it's just like they left him at the top of the siege tower and he's gonna die because they're all leaving. This one is a bunch, so it's like some goats or like antelope or something. I think those are water buffalo. And they're standing at the top of a hill looking at these lions, and the lions are all huddled up like a football team. And one of the lions is looking back at them and smiling. So I guess like the lions are planning extensively, and the buffalo look worried. This one, so the Acme Sheet Company building is on fire, and the way that they're getting out is that they've tied all the sheets together into a rope. So there's like a lot of sheet ropes coming out of the window. This one is so it's like a guy with a butterfly net, and he's in this field of flowers, and there's a stand with a man inside that says butterflies $1 each. And the man is telling the butterfly hunter, well, they ain't free anymore, buddy. So like this guy used to go to this field to just like look for butterflies to catch, and now there's a stand that has monopolized the butterfly industry and is selling them. So kind of another sad depiction of the world we live in. This is two flies. One of them's pushing a stroller, and the other one's next to it and is saying, oh my, what a cute little maggot. This one is elephants. A male elephant and a female elephant. And the female elephant is looking in the mirror and she's saying, egad, Alex, I'm losing some wrinkles, in a scared way. So elephants want wrinkles, I guess. I don't really get this one. So it's a bird, it's two birds. One of the birds is female, one of the birds is male. And the male bird is coming home, and his wife looks mad. And she sings, so, out bobbing along again. I don't understand. I'm sure someone gets it, but I don't. This is another bird. Oh, a lot of bird comics on this page. The next one's bird. A bird is listening to the ground. It's like, I don't know if they actually do this. Sorry. If they actually do this, but like, birds supposedly listen to the ground to hear worms. And there's a bunch of people down there, like miners, I think, collecting rocks. So like the bird is gonna eat these little people below the ground who are mining because it hears them and thinks they're worms. I think that's it. This one is a bird at a stand that says worms 50 cents a dozen. And okay, so the bird has brought the worm seller a worm to try to pawn it off to him, and he's saying, well, I don't know, this one's a little beak worn. How much do you want for it? So the bird wants to sell the worm to the man. This one's a scientist looking at a microscope, and from like the microscope slide, is that what it's called? I forget. We had to label all the parts of the microscope. That was so weird. I don't know why they had us do that. But anyway, there's like on the slide. But the point is, I don't remember any of that, and I think it's called the slide. Like the thing that you look at, there's a speech bubble coming from it that says the eye, the eye. So whatever he's looking at with the microscope can also see his eye looking at them through the microscope, and they're pretty freaked about it. This is another bird. It's like, but this one's like a raptor. Like it's like a predatory bird in a cage. And this woman is trying to feed it a cracker, and it looks really mean, but also really like it's smiling. It looks fucking scary, and it's saying, "Polly, want a finger?" So like it wants her to put her finger in the cage so it can rip it off and eat it. Oh no, my dog is barking. That's not a good sign. Oh god. I don't want to pause the video and then like go, oh god, okay. I'll be back, maybe. I don't feel too good. Okay, I'm back. He was barking at my mom. And then she accused me of being in a grouchy mood, which I don't think was necessary. Also, yeah, still cut off, so let's try that again. Where were we? Let's see. Okay, dog heaven. Dog's coming up to heaven in an escalator, and there's an angel there, and he looks really mad, like he doesn't want to be assigned to dog heaven. And he's saying, okay, now listen up. First, I want all the car chasers over here. You'd think that the car chasing dogs wouldn't be in heaven. Maybe that's dark of me to say, but I don't know. Seems a little strange. But all dogs go to heaven. Isn't that what the movie says? I don't know. This one is a guy, he's going into a publisher's office, and he's submitting a book called Man Without a Nose. And he doesn't have a nose. And the publisher is saying autobiography, I presume. Kind of a dick question, but okay. This one is, this woman is she's watering her vacuum cleaner and iron garden. I guess it's just like she's a woman, so her garden is based around home appliances. This one is a lost and found booth, and there's a man without a head looking through a box of lost heads. And the woman at the lost and found booth is saying, come on, either it's here or it isn't. So I guess everyone in the Far Side universe is just a dick all the time. But I guess, can you blame them? They live in a stressful world. This one's a kid trying to, also all the kids are like evil sadists. This one is a kid trying to get his turtle to jump through a flaming hoop and sing through the hoop, Bob, through the hoop, but like it's a turtle. The turtle's not. So he's just gonna like burn his turtle to death, I think. I don't get what's so funny about just like kids torturing animals, because that's like what a lot of these seem to be. This one's two ants walking. You know how like people pin collected, or like people will pin collected bugs to things to keep them and display them? I don't really get why, but it's like bugs are walking through one of those and they're saying, God, I hate walking through this place at night. Gad, I hate walking through this place at night, excuse me. But like, yeah, I bet if I was walking through a big box full of people impaled at night, I would also be a little freaked out. This one's a monster driving a car, and there's like a female hand coming out of the back seat to like grab him, so role reversal again. This one's the three blind mice, and the woman, the farmer's wife, who cut off their tails, is very scary comic, but she's coming to cut off their tails. And she says, and one of them is saying, "Egad, it sounds like the farmer's wife is really flipped out this time." I guess she doesn't like the blind mice. This one is two birds looking at a baby. And the mom is nearby, but she's not paying attention. She's just sitting on a bench reading a book. And the birds are saying, "It's still hungry, and I've been stuffing worms into it all day." So while this mother isn't looking, these birds have been feeding worms to her baby. This one's three, like, okay, so it's Buffalo Bill, Grizzly Adams, and Pigeon Jones. And it's just like Buffalo Bill and Grizzly Adams are large and have mustaches and rifles, and Pigeon Jones is skinny and has glasses. And, you know, Gary, a lot of your comics are just like, here's a big person, here's a small person. And that's it. That's all it is. And it's just, it's not funny. I don't get whatever. This one is two snails, and they're approaching a hermit crab, and the hermit crab looks scary and mean, and he's saying, "Sorry, Carl doesn't live here anymore." So like, the hermit crab either killed Carl or like displaced him from his shell and stole it, and is now taunting Carl's friends about it. This one is a Polaris. So like, a nuclear missile has crashed in these people's backyards, and their dog is sniffing it. And they're having a barbecue, and the guy is saying, "Let's not overreact, Agnes. For one thing, it was only a dud." So like, they don't really care. This one's an ice cream man, and he's melting, and he's on the radio, and he's saying, "This is Harold Schwartz. Something horrible is happening out here." So like, he's melting, he doesn't know what to do about it. Two mosquitoes flying through like a really hilly, bumpy terrain, which I suppose is supposed to be a human skin with a lot of mosquito bites. And they're saying, "Looks like this place has been pretty much sucked over." So, a very mosquito heavy area. This one is two bats. One of them's not hanging upside down, and the other one that is hanging upside down is mad and saying, "Sure, go ahead if you want the blood to rush to your feet." So it's like the opposite. Once again, simply just reversing things. This one's a bunch of frogs at dinner, and the child frog has got his hand in a bowl of flies, and his mom is saying, "Sydney, just take one, don't handle every fly." This one is a spider. The spider has committed suicide. The spider has hung itself from its own web, and it says, "Goodbye, world," has been spelled out in spider silk in the web. And that's all it is. I might show you this one. Here. This is what it looks like. That's all it is. Funny guy. The next one is 6 panels. It's a cow. It's just a cow ding dong ditching a farmer. I don't think we need to get into very much with this one. This one is 2 bears hiding behind a tree, and they're watching this couple. Like, this guy's playing guitar, and his female companion is reading a book. They both look happy, and there's these 2 bears behind behind a tree that I assume are there to ruin their picnic. And one of the bears is saying, come on, look at these fangs, look at these claws. Do you think we're supposed to eat just honey and berries? So one of the bears wants to kill these people and eat them, and the other one doesn't. And that's the dynamic of this comic. This is more cows. One of them is just going, hey, wait a minute, this is grass. We've been eating grass. So I guess cows don't actually eat grass, and they've been tricked. I don't know. This one is an up escalator and a down escalator, and the up escalator is an angel, and he has a pie in his face, like someone who's thrown a pie in his face, and the down escalator is like a devil, and he's smiling mockingly, so like the devil threw a pie at the angel's face. And now they're going their separate ways. This is another awful, horrible child torturing an animal. He has put this mouse into a prison with barbed wire and guard towers, and like the mouse is not getting out, and there's no food in there or anything, so that sucks. This is a snake who has been tied in a knot and is screaming, "Charlie horse," in bed. I don't know why it's important that the snake is in bed. This one's Quasimodo, and he's up in the bell tower, and he's just reading a book that says careers in computers. Because I guess there's not much future in the bell ringing industry. This one's a bunch of cowboys, and one of them has found a thorny. My mind wants to say Stormy Daniels, but I think it's Thorny Devil. Like the spiny lizard that lives in the desert. And he's found one of those in his soup. And like the cook, the cowboy chef, is saying, well, I'll be. Egg Beater must have missed that one. So, didn't do much cooking prep, I guess. This one's just, this woman is spraying a hose into like gopher hills, I guess. I don't know, and a bunch of furniture is coming out the other side. So like she's ruined someone's house, I guess. This is a porcupine sleeping on a mattress, but like, you know the nail beds, like where you can like sleep on a bed of nails and it won't hurt because like if they're close enough together, it's just like a flat surface. It's just that, but it's with porcupine quills and it's on a mattress. This one is this is like another war band attacking a covered wagon, and one of them is riding the wrong way. And one of them is saying, counterclockwise, Red Eagle, always counterclockwise. So, like, they got a system. This one's a rhino. And you know how, like, birds eat stuff off the rhino, and, like, alligators and elephants? It's that. But one of the birds is asking the rhino, mind if we check the ears? So like they want to eat stuff out of its ears, I guess. This one's just like a guy has shot a goose and the V is flying away and there's an empty space where that goose used to be. As if to say, wow, you've killed one of our friends. He looks sad. The dead goose never mind. Two birds in a tree. One of them is saying, I dreamt last night I was walking, and I mean I could walk anywhere, fast, slow, so it's role reversal, because like people dream about flying, but the birds can fly, so they dream about walking. I guess these are like perching birds, because like birds can walk. It's not like there's birds without feet. This one is bird. Oh god. Okay, so it's a caveman. He sees a bird flying by, tries to fly himself, inspired by the bird, but since he's a human, he can't fly. So he makes a bow and he just kills the bird. And that's it. That's all it is. He was bitter, so he killed the bird. This is like, okay, so it's cowboys and they're trying to hang this guy, but they've failed, and he's just quivering on the ground. He looks scared because he knows they're gonna hang him again, but like the guy that's job it was to hang him doesn't know how to tie a noose. So the other man there is saying, "You meathead, now watch." The rabbit goes through the holes around the tree 5 or 6 times. This one is, "We've made it, Warren." It's 2 astronauts. One of them saying, "We made it, Warren, the moon," and he's like throwing his arms out like this, and he hit his friend Warren in the face and smashed his protective mask. So Warren's gonna die. This one's 2 bugs. One of them's got a human on its back, and it's saying, "Get it off me, get it off me." So, scared of humans, but they're bugs. Role reversal. This one is a boat, big boat, coming for a raft. And it's 2 castaways, and they're saying, "Thank goodness, Malcolm, we've finally been spotted," but like they haven't been spotted. They're just in the path of this boat that's gonna crush their raft, I assume. This one is, I think it's Bozo the clown. Or it's a clown of some kind. No, it's not Bozo the clown. It's a clown. And the clown is with his wife at a marriage counselor. His wife is not a clown. And he's standing up in anger and he's saying, "Bozo, did you hear that? She called me a bozo," but it's like he's a clown. That's all. This one is an orchestra, and it's a guy. There's a guy in the back with cymbals, and the conductor is mad, and he's holding his hands over his ears, and he's saying, "Stop, stop! What's that sound? What's that sound?" Oh wait, no, I'm dumb. There's a man in the front row with a banjo that I didn't notice that looks stupid. So I guess he's mad about there being a banjo player in his orchestra. Doesn't like the banjo, this man. This one's just, and you know how like old people feed birds? Instead, this old woman is feeding alligators or crocodiles. I think they're crocodiles. And she's saying, "Yes, yes, now don't fuss, I have something for all of you." And she's feeding them mice. This is a bunch of like Arctic terns, I guess, standing on icebergs, and one of them is saying, "You imbecile, we flew 12,000 miles for this." So like they migrate really far, and I guess they didn't know what was coming, or like this is their first year doing it or something. I don't know. This one, so it's like an old west fort, and there's a giant arrow sticking out of the wall, like a massive wooden arrow. And the lookout is saying, "First, the good news, sir. I count only 1 Indian." So, like, the bad news is that he's a giant. This one is a fire tower, like in the woods, but it's burned down. Everything around it is fine. This one... This one's... I don't know what this one's implying, but it's not good. It's like, so, it's, this couple has just bought a bird, and their apartment is sort of in disarray, and the woman is reading the manual to her husband, who is like wearing, he's like a slovenly man wearing a wife beater, and he's drinking a can of beer, and he doesn't look interested in the bird at all. And she's saying, "Uh-oh, it says here, a good mimic. This bird should not be exposed to foul or abusive sounds." So this comic is implying that this household is foul and abusive, and that the bird is going to absorb this and make it known to the world. I guess this man curses a lot. I don't know what the abusive sounds mean, but I don't know about this comic. It's kind of spooky. This one is This one's a man on a desert island. He sees a ship in the distance and he gets really excited and he waves his hands, and then it gets close and he finds out it's just a model ship. So like it wasn't in the distance, it was just, that's how big it was. This one is like a man and his wife in their car, and they're driving through the jungle and they're surrounded by giant ants, and he's saying, something's wrong here, Harriet. This is starting to look less and less like Interstate 95. So they've gotten lost. This one's a fortune teller, and she's looking in her crystal ball, and she sees herself in her fortune booth being run over by a man in a truck. And outside the fortune teller's hut, we can see the man in the truck approaching in the background. That was okay. This one's a snake hissing at the moon instead of howling. This one is a woman who has left her husband in the back of her car, and there's a dog. So I guess it's just like she left her husband in the car, much like a dog, to go grocery shopping. And he looks like he's impatient for her to come back. This one is just like it says, okay, so there's a rover and it says USA Explorer number 2, and it's got like and it's on an alien world, and there's an alien sending flying saucers that says find them. So I guess like these aliens are offended that we landed a rover on their moon or whatever. I don't, seems like an overreaction. This one is sad. This one is a man. He shoots a bear that's just like calmly drinking water, happily, and then he stuffs it to make it look really scary. So, like, that's it. It's just like he killed a bear that was minding its own business and then made it look like this monster, but he's the monster all along. This one's a man with a lawnmower, and he's about to run over a flower, and he looks really excited in like an angry, mean way. So he's like an evil man who likes to destroy beauty. This one, it's like instead of counting sheep, this guy's just imagining them running headlong into a brick wall and collapsing. This one is scientists, I guess they're in space, and they're looking on this screen. There's a giant pie, and they say, we estimate it to be 7,000 kilometers in diameter, 130,000 kilometers away, and we're on a collision course, so they're gonna hit this giant pie. This one's Castaways, and they got so it's 3 guys and a dog in a boat, and they're all looking at the guy in the back of the boat who looks really worried, and he has like a really short straw, and they're saying, fair is fair, Larry, we're out of food, we drew straws, you lost. So they're gonna eat Larry, and I think the joke is like they should just eat the dog because like the rest of them are humans, but apparently they like the dog enough to give it a shot, and Larry has lost, and they're gonna eat Larry. I mean, the dog's probably the one that's pretty gonna be good with that, because like the dog won't mind that it's just raw meat. This one's 2 forks, but they're like anthropomorphic, like they have faces and arms and legs. One of them's reading a newspaper, and his wife is crying, and I assume, and she's saying, Harry, I found this note from Mary Beth. She's run off with a spoon. So I guess like these forks live in a world where inter-utensil marriage is frowned upon, and they're very upset that their daughter has run off with a different race. This one's a bunch of like old men playing cards, and they all look really mean, and one of them is saying, hi, I knew you were bluffing, Amos, you never did have much of a poker face, but like he has a great poker face, and that's all. This one's two slugs walking along at night, and there's a guy hiding nearby with in like an overcoat with a thing full of salt. So this man is about to kill these slugs with his salt. This is a bunch of buffalo, and they all got arrows sticking out of them, but they're still alive. And this one is and like there's like obviously like humans dressed in a buffalo costume, and they're the ones shooting arrows at them. But one of the buffaloes is saying, "Say, maybe it's not just a bad swarm of horseflies." So they think that they're being bitten by flies, but they've just noticed that they're all covered in arrows. There's a note next to it that's just calling Gary out on his violence, or his like violent imagery. And it says that Ari Enger. The PS says I should add that the Minneapolis Tribune's comic page is excellent except for the occasional Far Side comic, and that's just bullshit. Like, say what you will about Gary, but newspaper comics are awful. Like, compared to I know I'm a little hard on Gary, but literally pick up a newspaper and you'll see what he's up against and realize there is no competition. Like, this is like A material. Compared to like the other ones, like Soup to Nuts and Stone Soup, and like the one with the bear and the rabbit, and like, I don't know, I never really read them because they're awful. But anyway, this one is snakes again. It's a snake coming into like a dark room there's a snake there with dark sunglasses and a cigar, and the other snake is saying, "So you must be the one they call Mr. Long." This one's a caveman in a pickup, and he's got his spear hanging in it, like instead of a gun, he's got a spear because he's a caveman. This one's remember the couple in the bunker? It's kind of like that. It's like this couple has come out of the bunker. Maybe it's the same one, and they just never went out to get the bird. But the man is saying, "Thank God, Sylvia, we're alive." But like, the world is ended, and there's nothing there except fire and ash. So like, what kind of world is there to live in? This one is like three big guys, and they've challenged or maybe he's challenged them. They're about, one of the biggest one is about to arm wrestle a really skinny guy, but we see that under the table he has this massive, like larger than the men that he is wrestling with, massive right arm, and they haven't noticed it yet, and the guy who he's about to arm wrestle says, "Okay, buddy, then how about the right arm?" So like, the joke's on them. This one's a really ugly guy at a bar, and the bartender's saying, "Rejected again, huh, Murray? Have you heard about his new breath freshening toothpaste?" So like, I think the joke is that the toothpaste isn't gonna help, but I don't know. This one's kind of funny. This is a bunch of cave people, and they're all holding like their food in the fire with just their hands, and they look really in pain because they're like burning their hands. And then there's a caveman in the back with glasses sitting by himself roasting a chicken leg on a stick so he doesn't have to burn his hands. And one of the other cavemen is saying, "Hey, look what Zog do." So Zog's gonna teach them. I think this one is about endurance hunting, but it's just like this guy with a spear is following some tracks, and as he runs, he's listening to like his Walkman. I don't know what it was called in the 80s. It's like a tape with headphones attached. But that's what he's doing. I remember this one. I think about this one a lot. This one is like, so this guy has come to this woman's house at like, I think he's like come back with her to her house to hook up. And she's covered in like chainsaws and like heavy equipment and like hammers and I don't know what that is, but it's then chain like she's covered in heavy metal. Her dress is made out of incredibly heavy items, like sharp things, and she's saying, "Excuse me, Harold, while I go slip into something more comfortable." So the joke is that her clothes are very uncomfortable. This one is I don't know who the general at Gettysburg was, but it's him and his men, and one of them is like doing the bunny ears thing behind his head, and it says near Getty, like they're sitting for a photo, and it says near Gettysburg, 1863, a reflective moment. This one is like a married couple, and they got a bomb. They have like a once again they have like a nuclear missile in their home, and across the street their neighbors are also getting a nuclear missile in their home, and the wife is saying, "Wouldn't you know it? Now the Hendersons have the bomb." So I suppose they want to be the only people with nuclear capabilities so they can enforce their will on the neighborhood. I think it's sort of about mutually assured destruction on a small scale. This one is like a werewolf, but it's just like it's tracks that it's human shoe prints that gradually look more and more like duck feet, and it says the were duck cometh. So instead of a werewolf, it's a were duck. This is a man being tortured, and the torturer is saying, "We still won't talk, huh? Okay, no more Mr. Nice Guy." So like, wow, you thought that was bad. This one is a doctor, and he's looking at this giant man's X-ray, and he's saying, "My goodness, Mr. Osgood, your X-ray reveals several stethoscopes, a smock," and the man is approaching him from the back like this. So like this guy's gonna like eat his doctor. So I guess he goes to the doctor and complains about like stomach pains, and then when they do the X-ray, he just eats them. This one is these two hunters have just shot Babe, the big blue ox that Paul Bunyan is friends with, and Paul Bunyan's coming to like fuck him up, I guess, because they killed his ox. I don't know, but they're saying, "Uh-oh, Stan, I guess it wasn't a big blue mule deer." So they thought that Babe was a deer and not a giant blue ox. This one is like a cave with ski tracks to it, and then bear or something, some big animal tracks leading inside, and then the skis and those ski poles are standing up outside. So it's just like a skier came to this cave, and then something came out and ate him or her. This is just a farmer collecting eggs from his chickens, and one of the chickens is saying, "Well, that does it. Tomorrow he dies." So tomorrow they're gonna kill the farmer, because I guess they're sick of him taking their eggs. And you know, who can blame them? This is a dragon, and it's just, it's handling a suit of armor, but it's like, it's breathed fire on it, so the metal is heated up, so the dragon is saying, "Ooh, ow, blasted Phyllis, hurry up with them hot pads." So like, it's too hot to handle, but they still gotta eat the knight. I don't know. Doesn't even look like there's a knight inside. I don't really know what happened to the knight, but this one was made, I don't know how to do math, but it was made on 12/26. So this is like Gary's Christmas comic, and it's Santa, and he's typing in a dark room, on a typewriter 9 ways to serve venison. So I assume he's killed his reindeer and eaten them. Oh, this is another Christmas one. It's this really ugly man has arrived at a holiday party, and the hostess has answered the door, and he's saying, "Hello, I'm Clarence Jones from Bill's office," and "Oh, hey, mistletoe." So like, he wants a kiss, but he's really ugly, so I guess he's not gonna get one. I don't really know. This one is a bunch of snakes at like a lecture, and there's this one snake, and he's showing a picture of a leg, and the leg part, so the part of the leg that's exposed says okay, and the part of the leg that is covered by a boot says no good. So he's trying to teach the snakes to only bite the part that isn't clothed. This one is like an old school diver with like the tube attached to his head, you know? But he's looking up and noticing that the boat that his oxygen tube is attached is sinking right next to him. This one is Noah, the biblical Noah, and I think, yeah, this is the last comic for today. And there's a dead unicorn in front of him, and like a bunch of animals are crowded around it, and he's saying, so much for the unicorns. From now on, all carnivores will be confined to sea deck. And there's like these two cheetahs, or like, I don't know, I think they're cheetahs, and they're looking at each other like, we fucked up. But I don't know what Noah's plan was. If he just got a bunch of like animals that only exclusively eat meat and just put them on the same boat with their prey. So I don't really think he thought that one through enough. Okay, that's it. That's the end. I'll see you some other time.